speech, not politically correct safe spaces.
We need to express ourselves and be able to, to tell our opinion of everything.
You need the ability of people in a democratic society to voice their opinions. If we all don't voice our opinions, then we miss out on different perspectives.
The right of freedom of speech to me is extremely important. That to me is an absolute human right, and nobody should have the right to dictate what you think, what you say, or what you do, as long as you're not hurting other people.
Freedom of speech is not only the spoken and written word, but also all kinds of expression, including art, film, and photography. This freedom is not absolute. There are limits placed on it. For example, libel, slander, actual threats, plagiarism of copyright material, and obscene materials are not protected by this First Amendment right, yet hate speech is protected.
And I think there the Supreme Court has generally got that right, and that there are certain kinds of speech that are designated as that receive less protection.
To be an American means to be free to say whatever we want whenever we want. The right to the freedom of speech was established in the United States in the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights after it was ratified on December 15, 1791. It is considered to be both a human right and a human liberty. The determination of whether it was a right or liberty lies in the context of the speech. The First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. By acknowledging this, we know that we are guaranteed the right to speak freely.
When looking specifically at freedom of speech, there are several different viewpoints that people take. One point of view is that there should be no limits to free speech and that it should not only be used to express our rights, but also for any kind of speech, even hate speech.
And I've made it clear that we as a country cannot tolerate political censorship, blacklisting, and rigged search results. And you know, it can go the other way also.
Some Supreme Court cases that concluded what is protected by freedom of speech are West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett in 1943, which gave the right to not speak. Also, Cohen versus California in 1971, which gave the right to use certain offensive words and phrases to convey political messages. And Texas versus Johnson and United States versus Eichmann in 1989 and 1990, which gave the right to engage in symbolic speech. This side believes that all American individuals should have the ability to speak their mind and say whatever they want, no matter who gets offended.
On the other hand, people have other views on this fundamental freedom, which is that there should be limits on it as it is being used to hurt others, especially with hate speech.
If you use your speech to incite immediate violence, that's not protected. Those things are both still crimes. You also are not protected if you use your speech to say something false about someone that damages their reputation, or if you take someone else's writing or words and pass them off as your own.
Hate speech and the expression of certain reprehensible views clearly causes harm to other individuals.
The Supreme Court has also had cases where it has had to decide what freedom of speech does not protect. Some include Schenck versus United States in 1919, which ruled that to incite actions that would harm others or present a clear and present danger to society, such as shouting fire in a crowded theater, is not protected by the right. Another case was Roth versus United States in 1957, which decided that to make or distribute obscene materials is not protected by freedom of speech. And another case was United States versus O'Brien in 1968, which ruled that to burn draft cards as an anti-war protest is also not protected by free speech. Both viewpoints are very important when taking into consideration the importance of the First Amendment's right to freedom of speech. But as valuable as they are, it is important to just remember that being an American individual means that you have the right to say your opinions and you're protected by the First Amendment and the Constitution. And because of this, the First Amendment rights protect the ability to speak and receive information without being discriminated of or living in fear of consequences when wanting to speak up about a certain topic. The right to freedom of speech is a very important part of what it means to be an American that no one can take away from us, such as Richard Nixon, who would threaten and attack the press and silence voices of interviewers so that they wouldn't ask him any questions that would diminish his character. Franklin D. Roosevelt once wrote a speech known as the Four Freedoms, and one of those freedoms was free speech, demonstrating that since the Bill of Rights was ratified, and even until this day, freedom of speech has been a very important point in our democratic society.